Oh, yes, it was. Wait, I'll be there momentarily. Give me a second. I forgot to put my YouTube Studio on. Okay, wait. Where am I? There I am. There I am. Yes, it was. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing well. Hello, Kofi. Nice to see you. How are you? Yes, it's reading time. Um, as usual, redeems are mostly turned off, as are sound alerts. So if you do anything that would be triggering a sound alert, it will not be triggered today. What do you think? For me, it's already 9 p.m. You're doing well. That's good. I'm not doing perfectly today, which is why today I'll be reading something with especially short snippets. But we'll come to that shortly. So I will not be responsive to chat, obviously, and also if somebody should be rating or subscribing or cheering, I will thank them very much. Guys in chat, maybe if somebody joins and is wondering why I don't react, just tell them that reading time is quiet time and I will not react while reading. So today we'll be reading from Phantasmagoria. Phantasmagoria, I don't know. It's a compendium of monsters, myths, and legends. And it has short snippets. With all the other books I'm usually reading one from, I'll be just starting at the very beginning, and slowly we will make our way through. In several sessions probably. This one has smaller entries, so I might be a bit more responsive than usual. Oops, hat parts are a bit far up. Let's get them down. Good. Hello, San. Nice to see you. Guess I will start and hydrate before reading. Give me a second. I don't know how long it can be going. It does feel a bit fuzzy right now. I've been up for a long time. And I will have to rest after. Okay, but we should start. Also, sorry for any loud kitty sounds in the background. They're having the Zooms, and I don't want to close off my room since my room is the biggest one. And with two kitties, not having this room open would not be nice. Okay, here we go. We will start with the introduction. Introduction. In every culture across the world, we grow up believing in certain things that we gradually stop believing as we grow older. In Western culture, for example, most nations have a St. Nicholas or Santa Claus or Father Christmas, whom we only believe in as children. Other concepts, such as angels and demons, are discarded by many of us as we grow older, while friends and associates may remain believers. For some, the fear of the unknown and fear of darkness are correlated throughout life. Many religions share the same stories, and some of them, such as the Great Flood, are based upon actual happenings thousands of years ago. The beliefs held by many gardeners that plants react to speech and music was held by our animistic ancestors. Many stories, such as the Arthurian legends and the 1001 Night Tales, across different cultures and may recur in modern fiction as the basis for new plot lines. Some fabulous monsters are based upon travelers' tales, but turn out to be real animals. Others, like giant birds, are probably based upon extinct species. Humans have always been fascinated by their forefathers and have passed on elaborate stories from the earliest days of speech and writing. There is a cornucopia of legends about monsters, ghosts, and the strange creatures which transfer across many cultures. Today, with our instant access to information and a far, far greater factual knowledge about different countries, animals, and natural wonders, we can still be entertained by and learn from our forefathers. Phantasmagoria is the art of creating supernatural illusions, the gathering of phantoms or fantasies. The name was given to a projection ghost show in the 18th century, in which a modified magic lantern projected frightening images of demons, skeletons, and ghosts onto walls, smoke or semi-transparent screens, sometimes using a technique of rear projection. Multiple projection devices allowed for quick switching between different images. Today, we realize that some of our ghosts and demons are based on events in real life or on past experiences, and that our forebears, with less knowledge or information, rationalized things that they could not understand by means of myths, legends, and religions. This book is intended to be entertaining, and is written in the full knowledge that in 3,000 years' time, our descendants will view us as just as primitive and non-rational as we regard our early ancestors. However, some beliefs, places, people, and animals are magical and mysterious in so many ways. To lose a sense of wonder at the diversity of life and how history has shaped us, is to lose sight of the purpose of life. This is a magical, exciting planet, which has always been full of wonder, and it always will be. The book firstly describes strange and interesting people who have affected our perceptions throughout history. They are followed by mythical monsters and ghosts from across the world. Then there are mysterious places that people have sought out or found especially powerful. The legends of flight, from angels to strange beings. From the next chapter, and then come mysteries, the deep seas and following water, followed appropriately enough by tales of hidden treasure. Strange and mystical artifacts of the past and present come next, and they are followed by an account of those monsters and myths which have a basis in reality. Above all, the book is meant to be entertaining. I hope that it will encourage readers to investigate further the strange world in which we live. Chapter 1: Mysterious, Magical, and Weird People. Adam and Eve. The zoologist Richard Dawkins, in his book River Out of Eden, used a complicated mathematical model to trace us all back to one common female ancestor, a woman who lived in Africa around 250,000 years ago. He noted, "There has to be a woman of whom this claim can be made. The only argument is whether she lived here or there, at this time rather than at that time. The fact that she did live in some place and at some time is certain." Dawkins is a noted atheist, but this scientific proof of an original woman, or African Eve, can also be used by those who believe in God to justify their beliefs. Alchemists. Many alchemists, as we term them, were not simply involved in trying to transmute base metals, such as copper and iron, into silver and gold, but in genuinely trying to understand chemical processes. Most alchemists sincerely believed that mankind had lost the secrets of the ancients, and looked backwards in order to rediscover their skills. Many espoused the Aristotelian theory of the 4 elements of matter. All matter was assumed to have arisen from prime, chaotic material, which might only come into actual existence if impressed by form. This form arose out of the chaos of prime matter creating the 4 elements of fire, air, water, and earth. The result of blending these simple bodies together in different proportions produced the infinite variety of life matter. Each element possessed 2 or 4 prime qualities. Fire was hot and dry. Air was hot and fluid. Water was cold and fluid. And earth was cold and dry. In each element, one quality predominated over the other: heat and fire, fluidity in air, cold in water, and dryness in earth. By transmutation, any element might be transformed into another through the quality which they had in common. Air could become water through the medium of fluidity, and fire can become air through the medium of heat, etc. Attempts to transmute materials were made by burning, calcination, solution, evaporation, sublimation, crystallization. If copper and gold were metals consisting of fire, air, water, and earth in different proportions, then changing the elemental proportions of copper could give the elemental proportions of gold. Alchemists thus wished to alter the elemental proportions of base metals to make rarer ones, such as silver and gold. Alchemists were bound by secret oaths and wrote down their formulae in complex codes. Not until the end of the 16th century did alchemists begin moving away from classical theory and become what we today call chemists. However, even in the 18th century, eminent scientists such as Isaac Newton were studying alchemy. Aliens from outer space. Astronomers estimate there are millions of billions of stars in the universe, and the likelihood that many of them are orbited by planets. We know there are 8 main planets in the solar system, a handful of dwarf planets, including Ceres, Pluto, Sedna, Eris, and a few others, and 429 extrasolar planets in the nearby portion of our own galaxy. Now, NASA has announced that its Kepler probe has found another 700 suspected new planets, including 140 of similar size to Earth. We are lucky that the UN has chosen a leader to represent us Earthlings in any communication or visit that may emanate from any of these planets. Like all massive, unelected organizations reliant on public money, the UN has a large number of committees, of which the purpose and use is obscure. One such is the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs, headed by a female Malaysian astrophysicist, Mazlan Othman, who has in 2010 now officially been delegated as the Earth leader to negotiate any dialogue with aliens. UNOSA actually oversees the Outer Space Treaty of 1967, whereby UN members agreed to protect Earth against contamination by alien species by sterilizing them. For over 4 decades, this has been Earth's official policy to visitors from outer space. Although 2 Voyager spacecraft launched in 1977 carried a message saying, "We step out of our solar system into the universe, seeking only peace and friendship." Unfortunately, the message was recorded by the UN Secretary General Kurt Waldheim, subsequently disgraced, and once stationed with the Nazis just outside Auschwitz, where sterilization and worse was taking place. Professor Stephen Hawking has warned of the dangers of humanity trying to seek out alien life. I imagine they might exist in massive ships, having used up all the resources on their home planet. The outcome for us would be much as when Christopher Columbus first landed in America, which didn't turn out very well for the Native Americans. Kinda grim. Damn. Archimedes. 287 BCE to 212 BCE. The mechanical genius. Archimedes was born in the Greek colony of Syracuse in Sicily and educated in Alexandria in Egypt. He returned to Syracuse when he spent most of the rest of his life devoting his time to research and experimentation in many fields. There is a possibility that Archimedes built a steam cannon to fire incendiary projectiles against the Roman fleet, which was besieging Syracuse. There are drawings by Leonardo da Vinci, in which a steam cannon is described and attributed to Archimedes. One of his war machines to defend Syracuse against the Romans was supposed to consist of large concave mirrors to concentrate solar rays and set fire to Roman ships. This so-called heat ray has been reconstructed using highly polished copper shields to set fire to small wooden ships coated with tar. In 2010, Cesare Rossi, an Italian professor, argued that these two inventions, the solar heat ray and the steam cannon, were one and the same device. Rather than reflecting sunlight directly onto moving ships, he thinks that Archimedes used mirrors to heat kettles of water to power his prototype artillery. Curved mirrors concentrated the sun's rays on a tank filled with water. The water boiled, and the trapped steam would have fired a gun, sending flaming cannonballs toward the Romans. 1500 years before gunpowder was used in Europe. Rossi designed his own version and stated that a heated cannon barrel would only need to convert just over an ounce of water into steam to hurl a 13-pound projectile at a distance of 500 feet. That's a 16-kilogram projectile for 150 meters. Rossi thinks the cannonballs were made of clay and filled with an incendiary mixture known as Greek fire, a lethal combination of sulfur, bitumen, pitch, and calcium oxide, which would have exploded like a firebomb on the tarred wooden decks of the Roman galleys. Archimedes is quoted in later Arabic texts in relationship to advances in mathematics and mechanics, including the construction of hydraulic devices such as water clocks. His treatise on floating bodies established a physical foundation for the buoyancy and stability of ships. It was long lost, and it was many centuries before his brilliant insights were actually applied in ship design and ship safety assessment. Archimedes was also the greatest mathematician of his age. His contributions to geometry revolutionized the subject, and his methods anticipated integral calculus 2,000 years before Isaac Newton and Gottfried Leibniz. His practical inventions included a wide variety of machines, including pulleys and the Archimedean screw pumping device. In mechanics, he defined the principle of the lever, and is credited with inventing the compound pulley and the hydraulic screw for raising water from a lower to a higher level. He once said of his work with levers, "Give me a place to stand on, and I will move the earth." He is most famous for discovering the law of hydrostatics, sometimes known as Archimedes' principle, stating that a body immersed in fluid experiences a buoyant force equal to the weight of the amount of fluid it displaces. When Syracuse was captured, Archimedes was killed by a Roman soldier. It is said that he was so absorbed in his calculations that he admonished his killer not to disturb him. Cicero visited the tomb of Archimedes, which was surmounted by a sphere inscribed within a cylinder. Archimedes had proven that the sphere is 2/3 of the volume and surface area of a cylinder that circumscribes it, and he had regarded this as the greatest of his mathematical achievements. space here does not permit the full description of his dozens of inventions, which ranged from odometers to block and tackle pulley systems. But after the capture of Syracuse, Roman general Marcellus took two mechanisms used as aids in astronomy, which showed the motion of the sun, moon, and 5 planets. These were mechanical planetariums, ovaries, and to work that would have needed differential gearing like the Antikythera mechanism, which Archimedes may also have designed. In 1906, a 174-page 13th century goatskin parchment of prayers was found in Constantinople. It was discovered to be a palimpsest test, where ink had been scraped from an earlier work before the parchment was reused. The older document was shown to contain 10th century copies of 7 unknown treatises by Archimedes, including the only surviving copy of On Floating Bodies in the original Greek. Was killing great people since ancient times. Theme. Okay, we could do one more. I think. Maybe more than one. We'll see. Arthur, the most potent legend in Europe. The time of Arthur is one of the most debated areas of British history. It is termed the Age of Saints in Wales, yet known as the Dark Ages across the rest of Europe. Arthur was a 6th century Celtic warlord, around whom the mythology of Camelot, Guinevere, Merlin, Lancelot, the Holy Grail, the Fisher King, Sir Galahad, Morgan le Fay, the Black Knight, and the Round Table gathered. He repulsed the Saxon threat from the east, and the Pictish threat from the north and west. Until the 19th century, Arthur was always identified as a real person, Prince Arthwith, or Arthmael, the Bear Prince. Arthur, well, I can't read that. I cannot pronounce it. Some other kind of name, probably just a different language. His son Morgan became king of Glamorgan. This author has written more than 20 books on Welsh history and considers that other claimants to be Arthur can be dismissed. Arthur lived in Glamorgan Grant and was a documented son and grandson and great-grandson of kings of the region, which had been controlled by the Celtic tribe of the Silures. Breverton in Glamorgan is suggested as the site of one of his courts. There are more than 100 6th century Welsh saints with Arthurian connections, and also with connections to the ruling kings of Glamorgan Grant, which are described in stories that predate the medieval romances. Yeah. Actually, never thought more about that. Interesting. Getting a bit tired. I hope you're enjoying and are getting more comfy and relaxed. The Babushka Lady. An analysis of the film footage of the assassination of John F. Kennedy in Dallas, Texas, in 1963. A mysterious woman was spotted. She was wearing a brown overcoat and a scarf on her head. She wore it in a similar style to the Russian grandmothers, also called babushkas. She appeared to be holding something in front of her face, which is believed to be a camera, and can be spotted in many photos of the scene. When most people had fled the area, she remained and continued to foam. Shortly after, she was seen moving away up Elm Street. The FBI publicly requested that the woman should come forward and give them footage that she shot, but she never did so. No one knows who the babushka lady was, what she was doing there, or why she did not come forward to give evidence. Oh, okay. The Boldlanders of Boldland and the one-eyed Aramaspi. Around 450 BCE, the Greek historian Herodotus wrote, "As far as the Scythians as far as country as the Scythians' country in modern Turkmenistan, the tract of land whereof I have been speaking is all a smooth plain and the soil deep. Beyond you enter a region which is rugged and stony. Passing over a great extent of this rough country, you come to a people dwelling at the foot of lofty mountains, who are said to be all, both men and women, bald from the birth, to have flat noses and very long chins. They live on the fruit of a certain tree, the name of which is ponticum. In size, it is about equal to a fig tree. It bears a fruit like a bean, with a stone inside. When the fruit is ripe, they strain it through cloths. The juice, which runs off, is black and thick. It is called by the natives ashi. They lap this up with their tongues, and also mix it with milk for a drink. While they make the leaves, which are solid, into cakes and eat them instead of meat. For they have but few sheep in the country, in which there is no good pasturage. Thus far, therefore, the land is known, that beyond the bald-headed man lies a region of which no one can give any exact account. Lofty and precipitous mountains, which are never crossed or further progress. The bald men say, but it does not seem to me credible, that the people who live in these mountains have feet like goats, and that after passing them you find another race of men sleep during one half of the year. This latter statement appears to me quite unworthy of credit. The region east of the bald-headed man is well known to be inhabited by the Macedonians, but the tract that lies to the north of these two nations is entirely unknown, except by the accounts which they give of it. The regions beyond are known only from the accounts of the Macedonians, by whom the stories are told of the one-eyed race of man and the gold-guarding griffins. These stories are received by the Scythians from the Macedonians, and by them passed on to us Greeks. Whence it arises that we give the one-eyed race the Scythian name of Arimaspi, Arima being the Scythic word for one, and spu for the eye. Interesting. I wonder what region exactly that is. It's probably mapped properly by now. Now we can probably see what's there, and it's probably not one-eyed man with goat feet. Banshee. This is a supernatural being in Irish and other Gaelic folklore, sometimes called the woman of the fairies. Her screaming or lamentation in the night is thought to presage either the death of a family member or of the person who heard the banshee's cries. Sometimes the banshee takes the form of an old woman who walks under the windows of the house of the person who is soon to die. In Ireland, it is believed that banshees only warn families of pure Irish descent. The Welsh counterpart, the Ribbon Witch, visits only families of pure Welsh stock. Wow, very picky. Basil the Bulgar Slayer. Basil Bulgar Voctunus ruled the Eastern Roman Empire from Byzantium from 976 to 1025 CE. Basil oversaw the expansion of the Byzantine Empire's eastern frontier, and the final and complete subjugation of Bulgaria, the empire's foremost European enemy. At his death, the empire stretched from southern Italy to the Caucasus, from the Danube to the borders of Palestine, its greatest territorial extent since the Muslim conquest of 4 centuries earlier. The Bulgars began raiding Byzantine lands on Basil's accession in 976. Basil permitted the escape of his captive, Boris II of Bulgaria, hoping that the resulting internal power struggle would weaken the Bulgars. Basil then invaded in 986, besieging Sofia, but retreated and was badly defeated at the Battle of the Gates of Trajan. Samuel I of Bulgaria consolidated his victory, taking lands from the Adriatic to the Black Sea and winning Greece. From the year 1000, Basil was able to focus entirely upon the Bulgarian threat, and from that year onward was continually fighting in Bulgarian territories. Samuel became isolated in his core territories in the mountains of western Macedonia, was defeated in 1009 in Thessaloniki. 1014, after 15 years of war, Basil outmaneuvered the Bulgar army at the Battle of Claudion, and Samuel only just escaped. Basil was said to have captured 15,000 prisoners and blinded 99 of every 100 men. This left just 150 men to lead them back to their ruler. Samuel was physically struck down by the sight of his blinded army, and he died 2 days later after suffering a stroke. This incident gave rise to Basil's nickname of Burgaroctonus, the Bulgar Slayer. Because of Basil's cruelty, the Bulgars fought on for 4 more years, but finally submitted in 1018. Okay, that shall be it for tonight. I hope you enjoyed all these small snippets of information about interesting things and people. Yeah. I will resume on hopefully Wednesday. I hope I don't get sick again. And we shall have our regular Wednesday night story time then. Alright. As usual, have a good day or a good night. Whatever it is for you. Remember to hydrate, stretch, take good care of yourselves. Okay? Also to eat your veggies, or I will have to be very mean to you in your dreams. Bye bye.